Bases dropped on a Wall Pass Wednesday. John and Jared here. You there. Thanks for coming on with us for Soccer's Morning Show. Soccer down here. It's the midweek. Whatever's on your mind. That's what Wall Pass Wednesdays are for. It could be leftovers from Monday and Tuesday. It could be something that happened between the time that we left the air and are back with you. Or, could be something that just happens during the show. Tyler Pilgrim's from Scarves and the letter N, Spikes on the 280-character app, joining us at 9:15, as he always does on Wednesdays. We'll see if the busiest man in the Northeast, Dylan Butler from MLSsoccer.com, can drop by at 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock, we've got, in the hour number 2, we've got an ish ton of news from overseas and players going all over the place. Stapled raccoons getting more chances to pick up paychecks in Serie A. So it is all over the place. Morning, Alex. And so, and apparently, Jarrett, folks are already watching TST for what's going on this morning.
Well, yeah. Look, when you have trained an entire group of people to be able to watch. Sorry, Jason. We're also discussing this in the chat as it's happening. First of all, for any of you listening that have been doing this for a long time, hi Alex, who are veterans of this war and the Soccer Down Here war and the Atlanta United 2 war.
Oh yeah,
the soccer tournament is a really good litmus test to see how unhinged you really are, because there are a lot of names that you will recognize, even if you don't remember what exactly they did. You will see the name Sean Nicklaw and go, I know that name, and you will be distressed by it immediately. And you will have to work your way through why you know that name. Amir Bashti.
Yep.
There's another one that you're going to go, I know that name. He was drafted. I remember seeing him. Why is that still in my brain? Why is that the piece of information I remembered, but I don't remember,
my grocery list?
Yeah, you can't remember your grocery list. You don't remember what 7th grade Algebra 1 was.
Dane Breckenshea.
Yeah, Tony Meola is coaching Pat McAfee. I want someone to 2-foot Pat McAfee and stand over and call him a little white bitch.
Yeah, there you go.
That would make my day.
You would probably be in the majority opinion, yes.
I don't care if I'm in the minority. I don't care if I'm the only one who wants it. I don't give a damn. Someone do it.
You'll pay the individual and you'll buy their TST jersey.
Probably. This is just a collection of random people where you're like, I know this person. This is a good way to know how unhinged you truly are, because we've trained everyone at this point, and it's the time of year, man. Like this international window absolutely sucks, because you're coming off of Champions League and the end of all the European leagues. MLS is about halfway through. You're feeling good. Then the international window hits, and like Lucas Black in Tokyo Drift, it just pulls the handbrake on you and spins you around the turn, and you're just kind of sitting there wondering, what am I going to do? There's nothing to watch.
Want to bet?
Baseball season in flow, but God only knows how I'm going to be able to actually watch baseball, because baseball's on 8 different channels, and Rob Manfred has completely screwed up the game. Football's not here yet. We're in a gap until the NBA and NHL finals start. Although the Stanley Cup finals should be fun this year. RIP to the Rangers. Sorry. I think Emilio's a Rangers fan. Sorry, Emilio.
Plucky upstart New York Rangers.
Those plucky upstart New York Rangers needed to either get more power plays or be better on the power play.
Be better.
But yeah, man, this is like you go through all that. And you're like, the Arena League's failed pretty much, like actively failing. Like, if you want to watch a star die in real time, go watch the Arena League, because it's like watching a star just collapse on itself in real time. But you're wondering, what can I do? What can I watch? The soccer tournament is here. I know these names. Why is J.J. Watt in goal? His wife was a national team player. J.J. Watt is on the top of the list of, hey, we're gonna float this cross into the box. The hell you are! I'm letting him claim it. It's gonna be like when people tried to float a cross against me the other day. Garrett Chapman is still mad at me, by the way, because Garrett Chapman positioned himself perfectly on one of those, on either that corner or that long throw in, and he did everything right. He positioned himself perfectly to snatch, to flick a dangerous ball out of the way, and I just reached over him and just grabbed it off his head. He was very unhappy with me. I took away his moment.
Not that there's anything wrong with that. For the most part, it appears that you can watch on the TST website. There are a couple of games that are going to be on the Plus, but for the most part, it's tst7v7.com/live. So it's on their website. They're driving all the traffic to there this year. So tst7v7.com/live. And Burnley
Why
FC.
is Marco Materazzi scoring free kicks?
Because he's allowed to in the TST. Burnley FC and Natty SC are playing each other right now, as are the Concafa SC versus Reggae Rovers. That one's on the Plus. Inter and La Bombonera are going on the .com. Bonaeristas FC and Gracie FC, they're underway and just underway. FC Bayern and dueling for Lincoln and Borussia Dortmund and the Town FC. So I'm guessing that means that Matt Damon and Ben Affleck are the ones in charge of that club. So, yeah, go to tst7v7.com/live and have it up as a separate screen experience. So it is on their website is the best place to describe where it is right now. That's where we are, yes. Tyler's coming on in a couple of minutes. And opening kickoff, yes, and CAF World Cup qualifying is on FIFA Plus. You can watch that. You can probably watch it on the BNs, too. And, you could go to Fanatis, fntz.co/soccer down here. There you go.
You know what, Alex? I thought Abe would have been smarter than to try a long throw-in against me, but I guess I gave him too much credit.
Yes.
Because, like, Abe got that. Abe, like, that ball, I remember that ball went out to the side. Abe's like, I got this. This is Abe Gordon time, said Abe Gordon. Abe Gordon took 5 steps off the end line and decided he was going to try and yeet that ball into the box. Never mind the fact I was off my line. I was like, cool, man. You want to play catch? Let's play catch. Like, of all the people to throw that cross in against, man, wait till Reggie's in.
Mm-hmm.
Reggie is infinitely better in goal than I am, as evidenced by the amazing saves he made. But Reggie's not 6'5".
Yes.
Like, you did the one thing against me that I'm pretty comfortable doing, which is just grabbing things up high. Claiming a high cross is no different than me grabbing the last can of soup on the top shelf of the grocery store, man.
Tyler's already in this morning, and he is having flashbacks to the media match, by the way.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Jarrett, there was a moment when I really thought I was going to tap one into the back post, and you went up for a header, and it like skimmed across the top of your head, and I thought the world was coming down.
Yeah.
But I was there. I was there.
It do be like that sometimes. It's kind of like it's the same thing of when I try to overhead kick. When I hit the ground, it's basically recreating the third act of the movie Moonfall. So, yeah.
Has your leg stopped bleeding yet?
Oh,
yes.
Wow.
But again, once again, I think it was like Monday morning. I was working in my home office, and my daughter came in and was like, "You have to wear pants from now on when you play sports." Thanks, kid. Cool.
Oh, well, the genius of the bunch is definitely looking out for all of us. Yes, they did, Abby. They actually did survive.
Yes.
The cleats made it. And it's amazing
the
what happened.
cleats weren't the problem. It was the rest of me.
Yeah, the actual physical presence of Jared Smith was what went wrong in the media match.
Anyway.
Opening kickoff brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. There's your QR code blocking all of our heads this time. For those of you who are watching, however you're watching us, whether it's live on the 280-character app on Twitch or on the YouTubes, go to Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Don't forget to use the code SoccerDownHere15 to get 15% off your purchase. They in turn take 10%, reinvested into the things that they think are cool. part of the youth initiatives, youth programs, that kind of a thing, just ask our friend Melissa Ortiz, who was at Allianz last night watching Lily Johanna score at the age of 16 for the national team. But Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Use the code SuckerDownHere15, and you can go from there. All right, guys. Opening kickoff this morning, we go to Hungary. And you're going, what in the blue hell is John talking about?
No, we know exactly what it is. Go ahead, tee this up, baby.
Yep. We know how leagues are sometimes, where you come to the last day of a competition, the last day of the ladder, and some folks got to win, and it's got to be like really wide margins to either survive or thrive or stay afloat or improve their lot in the standings. For this story, we go to the Hungarian youth leagues. And Tyler's going, what in the hell? The Hungarian U14 League, and this is from our friends at the other four-letter paper, saw a final day to top all others as the Karagiazi SE beat bottom of the table Palmanostora SE 43-1.
Jesus.
In the last game of the season to overturn the 42-goal difference advantage that league leaders Miklosi GYFE boasted heading into the season's climax. In the last match of the campaign, Miklosi thought they'd done what they needed to do in order to win the league as they beat mid-table Nylarinchi LSC 1-0 in a low-scoring encounter. Copy continues. However, an even stranger result was to happen as Karagiazi SE scored 43 times on the final day of the season to take the title by 1 goal to finish the campaign on 43 points and a plus 132 goal difference compared to their rivals' 131 goal difference. According to the league's fixture list, all games kicked off at 10 a.m. on the same day. Now the Hungarian FA is reported to be opening an investigation after the league's authorities reacted to allegations of match fixing and other malpractices. Match fixing in Hungarian U14s. While the investigation is set to start, Karagiazi currently still hold the league title. The defeated Palmanostora SE lost their 15th and final game of the 16-match season, having won the other game, but had conceded 155 in their 15 outings prior, equating them to seeing over 10 goals a game fly into the match. So Hungarians' youth leagues are now under investigation for match fixing and other malpractices.
Somebody got paid.
U14s.
Somebody got paid.
Uh-huh.
There's a bag of money floating around somewhere on a soccer pitch in Hungary.
But it's going to have to be a big bag because I don't quite think that the exchange rate is what you think it is these days. But yes, Hungarian U14s under investigation for match fixing, overturning plus 43 goal differences.
Is there a way to watch the replay of this match?
I don't know. It probably is, by the way.
Because I just want to see, 11 other guys stand there while the other 11 guys just walk the ball into the goal 43 times.
Well, it was like the one goal that came across on the social medias where dude's at the top of the 18 and you see the defender at the top of the screen, and the second that the guy's inside the arc and heading inside the 18, the defender just basically stops, drops, and rolls. And he's a good 8 feet away from all the action. Literally, it's like he was wacky on the junk or something, and literally just kind of spills himself, and the guy eventually does score. But yeah, literally, it's like, oh, it's inside the 18. I think I will fall and roll and be nowhere close.
I'm doing something, guys. Just throw yourself.
Yes.
Looks like the media game the other day.
Yes. So Hungarian U14s and the media match, they are drawing comparisons, strangely enough. I know that shocks everybody. But yeah, when you see something like that, the Hungarian U14 is under investigation for match fixing. You're like, okay, we got to talk about that. But welcome to Wall Pass Wednesday. So that's Wall Pass Wednesday, and that's opening kickoff. Brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Don't forget to use the code SoccerDownHere15. You get 15% off your purchase day and take 10% reinvested into youth games. Cool stuff from our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. So Tyler, how have your last 3 days been?
Nothing big has happened.
Yeah,
not at all.
Nothing.
No, we've been busy. We've been busy with the articles on the website and we did our normal weekly post-match kind of player ratings and all turned into let's talk about the news that just dropped. So
Yeah, exactly.
we had that, and then of course, we'll have our normal show, but like it's just been busy. It's been busy, and I never like to see somebody lose their job, whether it was warranted or not.
Yeah.
But that's where we're at.
Yeah. And I think that one of the things that is lost on folks, I think at least in the initial elements, I think that's lost on some folks is that there are other individuals attached. There are families attached, and you're trying to. There's all of the other elements that are attached here in the 3D element of folks losing their jobs, and I think that gets in the day to day. I think it gets lost in the sauce a little bit, where you just see that one individual go. And it doesn't initially register that there are others involved, and there are families involved, and there are other elements that are attached to all of this. And it's not a fun day, and it's not a good day.
Yeah. I said on our show the other day, like, you can celebrate the club, if you feel like it's moving in the right direction now, like if that's what had to happen to get the club back to winning ways, if what happened is what needed to happen to, essentially get everything back on track,
right,
that's fine. Like, celebrate your club going in a new direction, whatever. But leave the personal attacks at home. That's ridiculous. And yeah, I mean, it's not just one person. It's, it's two assistant coaches. It's all their families. It's, it uproots things. And yes, there is always that conversation of, oh, well, they knew what they were getting into. They know the business. Yes, they do. But that doesn't make it any easier at all, especially when you fully expect you go into a contract, right, in 2021 thinking, well, I'm going to make it all the way through this contract, and then we'll be able to reassess what's going to happen. And that's not what happened, which is, again, it's soccer, but you just have some humanity is all I'm saying. Have some humanity.
Yeah. No, I make a point to reserve the Roy Kent PSA that we have in the drops when it comes to that, if things get completely out of hand. Jarrett, your first thoughts with Tyler here on a Wall Pass Wednesday.
So Tyler, now we've moved on to that next stage in Atlanta United's life. I feel like a lot of the eyes now fall not just to Rob Valentino, but to the players themselves who have not put the ball in the back of the net. How do you go about? And I know, asking you this question, if you had the answer, you would have the job and the money. How do you go about fixing the part where you put the ball in the back of the net consistently, because you should have killed off Charlotte in the first half?
Yeah,
and it should not have been a sketchy own goal and two incredibly low percentage shots that undid you. You should have killed, like, Saba should have killed them off in 15 minutes. How do you fix this?
I mean, I think if it were me, if I were the one getting paid the money, I would step into the shoes of Rob Valentino and essentially just try to unwind everything that may be kind of built up in the players' heads in terms of, like, this is the identity, this is, the set of tactics, whatever. Like, you're going to have I think a much broader brush to paint in terms of the way you go into each match now.
Mm-hmm.
And just tell them, we're going to go back to playing fundamental soccer, because the talent, I know this has been a conversation too. I feel like the talent on this team right now is one of the better ones in MLS. Am I saying it's the best? No, but it's up there. I really believe that. I believe that the individual talent is there. And I think you just have to go out in these first couple of matches, especially with all the changes, not just the coaching staff, but like with, international duty and travel and everything else. Just tell them to go play fundamental soccer. You each know your positions. You each know more or less your roles, but unchain a few things and just let them kind of run. And if you look back at what Rob did back in 2021, essentially that's kind of what this team looked like. They looked like they just were going out and having fun again. And I think that would be the first step, to just kind of see what you have at a more raw level. And then you can kind of start implementing maybe little tweaks here and there as the weeks go on.
But with Rob, it is a different challenge this time around. And the schedule is different than it was the last time that he was the interim, because you are dealing with schedule compression, and you're also dealing with international windows on multiple fronts. And so Rob is going to have to take all of these different chainsaws that are attached to this season in Major League Soccer, and he's going to have to juggle all of them differently because folks will be gone for the Olympics. Folks will be gone for Copa. Folks will be gone during the international window for friendlies and getting prepared for things. And so Jarrett and I were talking about it yesterday. It's going to have to be an integration, and don't be surprised if he and the staff that he's going to have. I imagine Matt Lowry and Ricky Davey might be a part of it, and with Steve Cook and Jose Silva, and integrating. Okay, so Atlanta United 2, these folks I'm going to need here. Who do we see in all of these windows? Because the 2s don't play until the 26th, and so you can have more of them available than you normally would. Do you see folks from the 2s that we're used to seeing with the 2s being, and I mean outside of the Nicholas Firmino, Luke Brennan element, things like that? You're going to have to do some serious juggling, and you're doing some deep roster dives to try to make sure that you've got these game day 20s and game day 18s in this stretch.
Yeah, and I think in a way that might be a blessing in disguise, only because, if you kind of go with what Lagerwey said in his press conference the other day, in one way you have everybody being looked at, right? You have from the top to the bottom being looked at. And so that can backfire, I think, in a way. But I think from a talent perspective, if your head coach was just fired, his 2 assistant coaches were just fired, then you have the president of the club coming out saying everybody's kind of on watch, we're coming up to a transfer window, then maybe that gets a little extra out of some guys. And we talked with Abe from 92.9 the other day about this. Like, I don't think it's that the guys aren't trying. I actually vehemently disagree with that. I don't think it's that they're not trying, but I do think there are maybe some habits and some things that just don't agree with their play style that have crept in, and now they need to kind of wise up to that and work through it. And so if you're told that maybe there's a little more pressure on you to perform, you get a little extra out of them. But then on the other side of the coin, you have some of these guys with the 2s. I mean, it could be an emergency call up. It could be the Ashton Gordons of the world or whoever, who they feel like they have something to prove every day because they're trying to make it to that next level. And now this is a golden opportunity for them to step in and show what they're about. I still think it's hilarious that, speaking of him, Ashton Gordon, he got his first team debut before he got his second team start. I think that's hilarious. But you've got a lot of guys that are gonna have to be relied on coming up. You've got Tyler Wolf hopefully coming back from injury soon, which is one. But you've got so many guys out. Everybody's gonna have to step up and play their part, and it's not gonna be easy on Rob at all.
Jarrett, go for it.
Let's talk about the GG of it all, because I've never seen headlines dropped with such flawlessly grim timing as the Fox Deportes one, as we're sitting in the room waiting for Gonzalo Pineda.
Yeah.
Also, the Fabrizio Romano dropping after Garth talks to us yesterday or Monday. How do you feel about the whole thing, man? Because it feels like at this point we're just dotting I's and crossing T's.
Yeah, I think it's a matter of time. I think their actual transfer window starts. Is it June 26th or June 22nd?
Yeah, 26th, I think. It's the 26th.
So I imagine you'll hear something concrete, like an official announcement before then, because everybody kind of went up in arms about what Garth said. Like Garth or anybody is never going to come out in a press conference and say, "Oh yeah, we're just about there."
Yeah,
that's not going to happen. So, and then the Fabrizio Romano one comes out basically saying that they're down to the fine details, but essentially everything else is done. Man, this all started with Gigi looking to set himself up to get paid a little bit more, which is totally fine. And I love Giacomakis. My youngest son loves Giacomakis. That is his first favorite soccer player. So that one will hurt for sure. He loves hearing Mike scream, "Boom, Giacomakis." So, but at the end of the day, I mean, the guy, he has been injured, and Atlanta's making bukus of money. Not that necessarily is a thing for Atlanta United, but you're still making money.
Mm-hmm.
And the player is getting what he wants. He's getting paid more, it seems like. And you're opening up a DP spot going into a summer transfer window where you could potentially make a move. Now, That's not to say that Garth will, because we know Garth is going to kind of take things slow, which is fine. But it gives you options and it gives you opportunities. And I think you could, with the right decisions, find somebody who might be even more effective than Yorgos Giakoumakis and somebody that can stay healthy more often.
Mexico window opens June 24th and is open until September 10th. So we were on the right week of the calendar. And so that Monday. So happy Monday, June 24th. Your Liga MX transfer window is open there. And then you also possibly face the notion that Thiago Almada, if he balls out in Paris, could be sought after publicly. And once again, I know that we don't see any rumors right now because folks ain't talking in the media. And Garth said this as well. It's like you don't do transactions through the media. So just because we don't see anything involving Thiago Almada doesn't mean folks aren't kicking the tires on Thiago Almada. So you could be chasing a summer through Leagues Cup where you end up having 2 DP slots available and conservatively, $30 million starting on July 18th with the Major League Soccer window opening up, where you could be making some serious moves again, like you did last season, looking for distressed assets and trying to address the issues that you had.
Yeah, Lagerwey said too that as of right now, like the way it stands right now on June 5th, they are just going to be possibly looking at, I think he said fringe players, guys on the outside, which is understandable. Because I don't think you should ever stop trying to fine tune those things. But, Stian Gregerson's not going to be able to be bought down regardless of what happens. So the most that you'll have is those 2 DP slots. I fully expect, this is just my opinion, but I fully expect that this team has at least 1 new DP by the time they get a new head coach. I wouldn't be surprised to see 2 new DPs by the time they get a new head coach.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, because you now have a guy in Lagerwey who has provided vision for the club in terms of, player acquisition. I've said it a million times. Carlos Bocanegra can bring in whatever talent he wants. He's really good at finding talent. But I think Lagerwey and him work well together, but Lagerwey provides, kind of the parameters that says, all right, go get the best talent, but do it within this.
Yeah, because he's now the business side where he was on the soccer side in Seattle. He's now the businessman. Right.
And so, I don't think you're going to have trouble finding talent to bring them here. And Atlanta still does have plenty of draw. It's not LA, it's not Miami, whatever. That's fine.
It's not Charlotte. Marco Royce.
New York, play on a baseball field. Yeah.
Sorry.
You've got the bins. You've got, it's still more people turning out for a match on a weekly basis than just about anywhere in this hemisphere. Like, you have, a growing city, a World Cup city. You've got lots to sell a prospective player on. So I do think as long as the coach that they get, whether it's Rob staying or not, the coach that they bring in fits the style of whatever DP or DPs that they try to bring in. If they do in the summer, that's what you care about. Whether it happens in the summer with the coach or the winter or in the middle of the season, I don't care. But they have to have an idea of what they want before they go out and try to replace Giakoumakis.
Jarrett, go for it.
No, I don't disagree with you. It's it can be weird, and glad you talked about the idea of 2 DP slots, and then even younger slots getting filled, because I'm still not convinced that we are not going to have some really hard Caleb Wiley discussions if the Olympics go the way that they're capable of going.
Yeah.
It feels like you could be in for, not even managerially, but player wise, like an abundance of those fringe moves. And yeah, I guess I wanted to clarify for people that Atlanta United has never negotiated through the media ever. They probably never will. So just don't take it as set an obsidian when they say, well, we're only going to do the fringes. Well, that's because that's what's available right now. They're not going to speculate on Giakoumakis or Amada or anybody really. But yeah, I feel like the Olympics could also just be a circus potentially for Atlanta United in the shopping window.
Yeah.
Yeah. and that's the thing that's really difficult, I think, because we've had that conversation all year of like the depth at Caleb's position. And now, of course, it's going to depend on like how Rob wants to play. Is he going to play a back three? Is, whatever new coach, if you do have a new coach coming in, is that person going to play a back three? Are they going to do a traditional, left back, right back, whatever? So I think there's a lot to look into, but the depth at that specific position, I understand you can mix and match and you can put Abram possibly there. You can move Caleb up to the wing, but like that left back position in general doesn't have a ton of depth. I mean, you got Hernandez and you have also at the end of the season, eight players that are all on option years who, you might not pick up. So I think Caleb would be the one that I really wish Atlanta could have a serious conversation with and try to give him something to keep him here for a little bit longer, to just not even from a bragging rights standpoint to say like we brought this kid up from 12 years old, like all that, but you financially you want to be able to have, less overhead and stop worrying about bringing guys in, right? Like I remember last year, Brad Guzan had the conversation referencing Tyler Wolf about how it's difficult for a team and players on a team like Atlanta United to come in that are homegrown to get time unless they're balling out essentially, because Atlanta's going to go spend money on a need. And if they need somebody at the left back position or left wing or whatever, they're going to go find it, which puts the onus even more on a kid like Caleb or Tyler Wolf or whoever to just up their game that much more. But they both have that talent, especially Caleb. And Caleb could absolutely go to the Olympics and have a phenomenal time. And I would not be surprised that the day he gets back or before we start hearing tons and tons of rumors. But I would just like to see Atlanta give a shot to try to keep him if they can.
To answer your question, it is at the end of this season. This does not take into account options that could be either picked up or denied. End of this season, Brad, Dax, Jamal, Daniel Rios, Ronald Hernandez, Nick Firmino, Efra, Tyler, and Jay. That is what you're staring at with Atlanta United. Guzan, McCarty, TRA, Rios, Hernandez, Firmino, Morales, Tyler Wolf, and Jay Fortune. That, like I said, that does not account for options to be picked up. So that's what you're staring at the end of the calendar year.
I mean, there's a lot of young guys in there, right? You've got a lot of either homegrown talent or talent that's come through the twos or whatever. And you don't necessarily want to get rid of them either, right? But especially considering right now where they're at in terms of cap space and all.
Do you know how much cap space they have, sir?
I've heard rumors. That's all I've got. And then I don't know what those rumors mean.
You might need Javi Armas in this stretch coming up to play in the midfield for the first team.
Yeah. I would love to see that.
You might need it. Jay's gone. Bartosz is gone. You might need him back there because Dax can't play 3 games a week anymore.
Nope. I would love to see Dax stay next year, though. I would.
Absolutely.
I think this team has looked great in terms of, everything, all things considered, like taking away the results. But I think this team has looked solid with him back there. He is a great leader. He is kind of that Lorenowitz guy that everybody's been asking for so long. But there's a handful of those in that list that I would love to see get another year and even another contract if it works out. But the new coach is obviously, I would hope, is going to have a big say in some of that.
Oh yeah.
Because if he doesn't, then I don't know what we're doing. But the new coach has to have some kind of say
in
it.
Players, and you, coach, will have these players to work with. I didn't have a say, but no, these are the players.
Yeah.
No coach wants that situation unless you're an up-and-coming coach that'll sit there and go, well, yeah, okay, I can work with this.
And even then, like that's got to be an up-and-coming coach that knows the league well. And that's something Lagerwey talked about as well. Like he wants a coach that has some kind of MLS experience. So because it is different. So I think there's just so many doors that are opening at one time right now with the firing of Pineda and the timing with the transfer window and everything else. It's just Garth is going to have to navigate this, and it's going to be a little bit like tiptoeing around eggshells. It's not going to be easy because you got to get all the steps right, or you're going to throw things off, by 6 months or more.
Tyler Pilgrim from Scarves and Spikes at ATL Pilgrim on the Twitters, Scarves and the letter N, Spikes on the Twitters on the 280 character app, hanging out with us as he always does here on a Wall Pass Wednesday. What was the initial response on your programming about the removal of Gonzalo Pineda and the staff? What was the feedback that you guys have been getting?
Unsurprising, I think was the main thing. I think it had been, going on long enough. The results have been going on long enough. I said it that it doesn't matter what business or sports business or sport that you're in, results like that, while also saying, we want to be top 4 and putting out these lofty expectations, like those can't go hand in hand. So it did feel like it was a matter of time. I think the timing, this is about the best that you could have done for sure going into this international break. But I think overall it was just unsurprising. And of course there's been the little bit of, hey, let's pump the brakes a little bit on like celebrating the guy losing his job, celebrate the other stuff moving forward. But, I think the overall thing has just been like, it was a matter of time. So it was unsurprising.
And, when you look at things in the Eastern Conference, we know the Eastern Conference, to paraphrase Nick Khalifi, it's a knife fight in a phone booth. That's just how it's going to be. And it is. Yeah. I mean, right now, Atlanta, had they won the match, and that position still has not changed, that they are a win out of the playoffs. Literally, there are 3 groups right now in the Eastern Conference. You've got Messi and Friends and Cincinnati. They're like Group 1. And then you have Group 2 that has some gaps. I think it's like 5 or 6 points from like 3 to 7, and then 8 through almost everybody, short of New England, is within 5 or 6 points when it comes to getting into the playoffs and being in that playoff discussion. So, yep. You have a good week, you rocket up the standings, but that's just how it's going to be in the Eastern Conference. And it is going to take a manager, regardless of what team we're talking about here, 1 through, I will leave New England out of the discussion, 1 through Chicago, to navigate your first and your second teams, to understand who you've got, who you don't have. Orlando, I think, is losing 8. In the Western Conference, I think Minnesota is losing 9 to Euro and various competitions. Atlanta United has, I think, 8. So it's in these situations, and LAFC is losing 5, but they're big names. And so it's going to be taking that navigation of who you're losing, what your second team looks like, what you can do with cap. And like I said, man, if you know what's going on with the cap, could you like tell the rest of us here? Because it is something that it is a drum that I have been banging on for years, to have a better informed electorate, sir, to have a better informed fan base. I think that so we can all understand where teams sit, what they're doing to dance with, what they've got to dance with, how much room they've got, to know where you stand when it comes to the salary cap, so fans can sit there and go along for the ride instead of scoffing at the whole notion of looking at what LAFC is doing and bringing in Handsome Men FC to see what Messi and Friends are doing. And it's like, oh, somebody's injured. Oh, okay, so we'll just bring in somebody else, Yep. The 3-card Monty that Chris Henderson is doing very well down there. I think that we need to have this information, and that's why I said, if you've got it, sir, can you release it to the rest of us and let us know what's going on?
I'm going to charge $2 per pamphlet on the roster rules and salary cap.
Yes.
No, I mean, so Tommy on our show, who's I see him in the chat talking crap about FIFA, by the way. There's still one person here who has scored a goal against Paulo Neto, so I'll just leave that out there.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
So, but no, he definitely is a little more in tune with it. But I think what Lagerway said the other day was essentially where they're at. Like they can't do much right now, unless they make moves. So, but I mean, almost every team in MLS has to deal with the same set of rules. So you've just got to hope going into this, because like you said, with the standings as they are right now, this season's not over for Atlanta. I've been like screaming from the rooftops. It's not over. You're not New England. You're not at the
You're not New England. That's the bumper sticker right now at this point of the season in the international window. You're not New England.
You're not New England. So if you can string together a handful of results, you just got to get into the playoffs.
Mhm.
That's what matters.
Mhm.
And then, like, the Supporter Shield's gone. Like, I'm not sitting here trying to say like Atlanta's going to go win the Supporter Shield, but you could still win Open Cup, and you can still make it to the playoffs. And you never know. There's so many wild cards between now and both of those scenarios that anything could change. So is it going to be easy? No, not even kind of. Like, Rob Valentino's got a hill to climb, massive hill to climb.
Uphill both ways in the snow, barefoot, all that.
Yeah, 5 miles one way, whatever.
Yeah.
It's not going to be easy, but I do think you have things like maybe you get the new coach bounce, maybe you get some of the young guys that do get called up that are going to have to show out, and maybe they bring a little extra. Maybe you get something out of them, and you take some of these teams by surprise. Like, there are so many things that could happen, and strongly could happen because it's Major League Soccer. It's not the Premier League. Like, we're not looking at 4 teams that are just always going to do the same thing.
Y'all and everybody else.
Yeah, exactly. So, the timing of this could not have been better. If it was going to happen, it had to happen, right? And it had to happen sooner than later.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean the season's over. The season's not a wash yet.
Who on this roster coming out of the international window are you most looking forward to see how they respond, provided they'll be here, from now to the end of the season, whenever that is? Who are you most looking forward to seeing how they respond to the current state of affairs with Atlanta United?
Are we talking like normal first team player or just anybody on the roster?
Anybody on the roster, doesn't matter.
Slish.
Okay.
Slish, because for a few reasons. Comically, he left, and now it's come out publicly. We can all say like he got married.
Mazel tov.
Yes. And then is going to the Euros. But since he left, the Giacomakis rumors have really kicked up, and of course, head coach and 2 assistant coaches get let go.
Mm-hmm.
So, but taking the humor out of it, there is no player in Atlanta United's locker room, no player, not a single player, that takes a loss as upsetting and as frustrated as Bartek Slish. I mean, Giacomakis could be up there, but Slish, it hurts his soul to lose or to have a bad result.
Art takes it personal, man.
He does, and you have to go like. There's something to that though, because this guy is a championship winner 4 years in a row. Like, he came here off the back of another trophy, so he's not okay and not used to losing, and so you never want to demoralize a new player that you bring in, you sold all this stuff to, and then you get here and all of a sudden it's a rough run of form. I really want to see like Slish, and he's remained good. That's the thing. He's been good throughout it, even though the results haven't gone Atlanta's way. I would like to see what he can do coming back into the team and just maybe having a little less pressure to do everything himself. I think it will elevate his game even better than it already is.
See how the honeymoon is going with Bart coming when he comes back?
That too. Yes.
After the honeymoon.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, for me, once again, it's, looking at the DP situation and figuring out, okay, how does this work? How does it work after the Olympics? The creating of the opportunities for guys like, for an Ashton Gordon, probably for Matt Edwards, probably getting calls up, for Javi Armas, who's probably going to get called up to help out in the midfield, considering the absences that are going to be there. You have opportunities here for individuals that there are those of us who are the second team sickos, I guess we could use that hashtag on a Wednesday.
Yes.
Where we've seen all of this work, and we see how we've seen Luke Brennan before Luke Brennan was Luke Brennan. We saw Noah Cobb when he was 15 years old going up against Cameron Lancaster, who was twice his age at the time, and not flinching in those kinds of situations. And you see what Noah Cobb has now. To see Efren Morales grow into his 6'9" frame and be the center back that he is, not taking any fear from anybody. Seeing the development from the academy pushing forward and now presenting itself as first team opportunities. For me, that's the element in this that I'm looking forward to, in addition to how the players respond to Rob.
Yeah. And I think Rob is definitely a huge factor in that, because I've seen some comments from folks that are just kind of like, concerned because I think one thing that most people universally agreed on, which is rare with Gonzalo Pineda, was how much he integrated the young players. He definitely prided himself on that. And you have to. I think that's great. Now, Rob will do the same thing because Rob has been kind of through the pipeline as well. But then if Rob doesn't stay on as the head coach, like who they bring on, you got to hope that person continues kind of that not tradition, but like that necessity. And I don't think Garth is going to let that slip through the cracks because he publicly came out recently, talking about how they want essentially the same play style to be played from the, academy all the way up to the first team. And so they're going to have somebody that is brought in that's going to fit that mold. But Rob is going to keep allowing the younger guys to play, the Noahs, the Efrains, the Jay Fortunes, the Firminos, like all those guys, and probably even more. They're going to get time. And I think they're going to have a little bit more confidence as well.
Well, and you look at Open Cup just as an idea here. And I know that it wasn't necessarily a focus, but you are 3 wins away from getting into the Triple C, the CONCACAF Hemispheric Extravaganza.
Yeah.
You are 3 wins away from getting into that tournament. You've got Indy 11 coming to the Fraction in early July. Then you would get the winner of Sporting and FC Dallas. Sporting and FC Dallas ain't doing well in the Western Conference either.
Nope.
So that presents itself as another opportunity. You got to do that one. You got to do that one under circumstances away from Atlanta, but nevertheless. And then you would get the winner of Sacramento, Seattle, LAFC, and New Mexico United. How much investment does LAFC put into their matchup against New Mexico, considering the losses that they're going to have with the Euros and such? Sacramento, I think, is the favorite to me to beat Seattle in that other matchup. And so it could be, once again, chasing after, the possibility of LAFC, New Mexico United, Sacramento, and Seattle coming out of the West. And so I think that the Triple C is winnable if the resources are there, meaning player absences and such and continuity, where you could end up getting another trophy in addition to trying to work your way back into the playoffs in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, and for anybody that, because I can see it now, I can see the Twitter chat now. If Atlanta does win this year, especially if LAFC doesn't make it to the final, and Atlanta does, I know there's going to be, there's a huge asterisk next to this win.
Then don't lose.
I don't care. Silverware is silverware. I don't care. So it would be really, really funny though if they won Open Cup this year.
It'd be funny if they won the CONCACAF Champions Cup next year too. Yeah,
be crazy. Yes, but
Club World Cup. Here we come.
Hey, here we come, baby. But no, I mean, for them to go through everything that they've gone through and only play one MLS team, if somehow LAFC gets knocked out of it, that would be it would be cosmic humor. I would love
Playing the frozen envelopes at U.S. Soccer, man.
Man. That's how it be. I will be the biggest New Mexico fan coming up soon, though. So
you got to get your Meow Wolf jersey.
Yeah, I'm going full colors and everything. So yeah, I mean, but just think about what that could do from a confidence standpoint, right? Like you go out and you make a run, whether you win it or not. That's a big confidence boost. But again, you've got a lot of soccer left to play. You got a lot of soccer left to go through, and no, it's not going to be easy, but the season's not a full wash yet.
On one axis or another, I don't believe that it is. What is going on with Scarves and Spikes as you catch your breath and do multiple shows in a week?
We're actually gonna have Jason on tonight with us.
There you go.
Jason will hop on and chat and talk about all the goings on of the week.
Mm-hmm.
And we're on a campaign to, let me check real quick while
you're on a campaign.
We're on a campaign to get to 1,000 YouTube subscribers. We're close.
Okay.
We're close.
Well,
we're at 970.
All right. Well, hang on. So
30 more.
Scarves. If I could spell scarves, Scazwords. It's me and fat fingers. Scarves in spikes. So all right. So let me see if I thought that I had. Yeah, I have subscribed. So you got 970, dude.
970. We're 30 away.
Okay. So 30 away from Scarves in spikes. And they've got the full screen of Jason, the photo with Jason wearing the hat and the sunglasses in front of Adams Stadium in beautiful, bustling Northeast Atlanta. the file photo of Jason. So scheduled for 5/6/24 at 1900 hours. So Jason talking Pineda, GG, and anything else on his mind. So. You didn't think I know we never hoped that these weeks are this busy, but that was why I wanted to ask about what the response has been on your show and your programming leading into your normal programming that is Wednesday nights on Scarves and Spikes.
We did the spaces as well, and that's where people get to come in, obviously, and then they can give their 2 cents, whatever they may be.
Anonymously or not.
Yeah. There was nobody that came in that just felt like this was out of left field. I think everybody kind of felt it coming over the past few weeks, few days, especially. That's how it is. That's sports, that's soccer, that's this industry. But I gotta say, I wish Pineda all the best. I wish Eugenio and Diego all the best, their families all the best. But now we move forward and see what happens.
Yep. What's in the mug this morning, and what is the mug this morning?
Ooh, so well, this is the same. This is the Scarves and Spikes mug.
Got it. Yeah. So
you can
blatant promo
on the website. Yes, blatant promo. I got cappuccino this morning.
Wow.
And it is tasty.
Wow.
French vanilla cappuccino.
You're getting all big leaguey on us.
I know.
He's going all Euro and getting ready for the TST and the Euros. He's going cappuccino this morning.
Yeah, I'm getting ready for all the celebrations of our the old land over there.
Yeah, let's see. For me, that would be Norway. I don't know if they qualified for the tournament or not, but we'll figure it out.
Right.
As always, my friend, you can crash at any time, but as always, great to see you and your mug and your contents and your office. Now that you have assembled everything in the new office with the move.
Well, no, I'm still at the old house. We haven't got everything moved over yet, but we're close.
Wow. So it's going to take like 9 people to come over and help you move all of your stuff and put it in the new house.
Yeah, I'm going to have like 10 boxes of scarves that'll have to go
not that there's anything wrong with that.
No, not at all. I love it. I love the collection.
Shower rods, my friend.
Yes.
Shower rods on the doors.
Yep.
That's absolutely
right there with you.
Be well, my friend. We'll catch up soon.
See ya.
All right. That's Tyler. Tyler comes by on Wednesdays. Remember their show tonight, 7:00. It is Tyler. It is Tommy. It is Sid. And tonight it will be Tommy and Tyler and Sid and Jason, which sounds like a 1980s sitcom. So Jason dropping by Scarves and Spikes tonight at 7:00. And they'll discuss what's going on with Gonzalo, with Gigi, with the news. Tier 1 sourcing yesterday, once again, they say it's close with Gigi and Cruz Azul. Keep an eye on folks like Fabrizio Romano, Cesar Luis Merlo, and even Fox Deportes, who had the news Sunday night, looking like 10 million plus add-ons. And once again, the window at Liga MX does not open until the 24th. So you have the international window, and then you have the matchup against Houston. And if I'm not mistaken, that is the last matchup before the Liga MX window opens. So March, April, May, June, as it slides down, it doesn't give me an instant result. Okay, so it is Houston. Then on the 19th, it is at DC. On the 22nd is St. Louis City SC. I've got to get it right. And it's at City Park on the 22nd. So you've got those opportunities before the Liga MX transfer window opens on the 24th. So possibly the last time to see Yorgos Giacomakis in an Atlanta United jersey would be the home match against Houston on the 15th. And then you have the 2 matches on the road. Remember, schedule compression is really ish for both June and July with international windows, Olympic window, Leagues Cup. June 15th, hosting Houston. 19th at DC, 22nd at St. Louis. I'm guessing they come home. Maybe they don't. So it's 3 matches in 7 days. Then you get a chance to catch your breath. The 29th of June, Atlanta hosting Toronto FC. July 3rd, they travel to Gillette. Then they go to Salt Lake. I don't think they come home for that. That's just me, and I think that's a charter trip. July 3rd at New England, then traveling, because if you come home late on the 3rd, then basically you're unpacking to pack and you're flying to Salt Lake. So I think they stay on the road. That's my guess. July 3rd at New England. Shooter can go visit. RSL on the 6th. Back home at the Fraction on the 9th to take on Indy 11 in Open Cup, and that would set you up with a win to go up against either Sporting Kansas City or FC Dallas in a semifinal in the month of August. And you keep an eye on the West with Sacramento, who I think beat Seattle at home, meaning in Sacramento at Hard Health. And then, seriously, what does LAFC look like? Going up against New Mexico United and Alex Tambakis. What do they look like? Do they have the handsome men? Do they have handsome men FC in place for that one? Then after the 9th on the 13th, they travel to Montreal. This is ridiculous when you think about it. So 30 days has September, April, June, and November. So 29, 30. And so in 15 days, you have 5 matches. Hosting Toronto to end June. Traveling from Atlanta to Gillette, and then probably staying on the plane going to RSL. Coming home for Open Cup, getting in a plane, and going to Montreal. Then 4 days later, back to Mercedes-Benz to take on NYCFC. 3 days later, Columbus visits Mercedes-Benz. And then you get a bit of a break. A whole 5 days before DC comes to town in Leagues Cup to start that off on July 26. So from July 20, 22 days, you have 7 games. 7 games in 22 days at the end of June after 3 matches in a week to get you out of the international window. 7 in 22 days to get you into Leagues Cup. And then DC's back to start you in Leagues Cup. Then you got Santos Laguna on August 4th, and that's the end of the group stage, and then whatever happens in Leagues Cup at that point. Massive schedule compression for a lot of clubs. And that's where we stand right now. It's Wednesday, and it's Dylan. So that means it's Wednesdays with Dylan. It's strange how that works. I know. Morning.
What's up?
You tell me. It's been slow. It's been a slow news week here in Atlanta. And absolutely nothing happened after a loss to Charlotte at home. So let me ask you this to start things off. What, if any, what has been the national vibe from the Northeast or any other environs about what has happened in Atlanta? Or is it just, yeah, that's Atlanta and that happened?
I don't think there's a lot of surprise, certainly.
Yeah.
When you struggle the way that you do with the roster that you have, there's bound, and you're in a you're in a market, and you're a team that strive to be one of the elites year in and year out. I can't say there's a necessarily a surprise with what happened. The one takeaway, and it's funny because I'm hearing the same things about Pineda as I discovered with Chris Armas. Great guy to deal with, super nice guy. So I guess the moral of the story is, don't be a good guy.
Be an ish head is what you're saying?
Yeah, you might I mean, go around the world, right? Like Jose Mourinho's made a career out of being that and winning. So feel bad for Pineda certainly. And yeah, now you go back to caretaker, and it's the big question on who's the next guy, right? I think the words, everyone wants to pick and like analyze word,
pick and parse and analyze and go a sentence at a time.
Yeah, so I think the exact, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the phrase was MLS, not experience, right? But knowledge, right, of MLS is a requirement for this position.
So who in your mind?
Well, that's a problem. I don't know who has knowledge of MLS outside of those in MLS, right? Like, so that's the and I do think it's an interesting one because you've gone the hot assistant route, right? Like the guy who was at the top of the list who deserved that shot, right? Mm-hmm. And I guess that didn't work out. I mean, it didn't work out, obviously. Right. You've gone the big name overseas route, and that's only worked really once, right?
Yeah, and if a player had stepped out defensively with the second big name internationally, then it would have been back-to-back MLS Cup Finals appearances. But I digress.
Yes. So, yeah. So now that begs the question, right? Like, who's the guy, right? Like, who's going to be? Is it is it someone who's already coached in MLS? I don't know. Like,
so here's the wording from Garth Lagerwey, quote: "Someone that has at least some familiarity with MLS is important in a coach going forward. It's still a very special league in terms of the salary cap, and I don't mean just in dollars, but in terms of regulation. We don't need a coach that understands that perfectly, but we need to acknowledge that reality in terms of team building and what we are able to do short-term and long-term," end quote.
I wonder is I don't know, just off the top of my head, Dome Torrent, is that someone who you maybe think about, because he would check a few of those boxes, right?
But would Dome fit the style of play and the personnel that Atlanta currently has?
I mean, I don't think it was vastly different from when he was coaching NYCFC.
Okay. So you put Dome Torrent on the list. I know a lot of folks down in this particular part of the woods have mentioned Gio Savarese.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a fair and that he's available, obviously.
He's up there with you doing TV on the weekends.
He is. He's bringing wine to those guys. I'm a little bit jealous.
Seriously?
Gio knows his wine. So like when I heard when I was watching, I think it was one of those where they do the goal count, right? And so his was off.
Oh.
So then he brought the guys some wine, not just, I think, a couple of bottles of wine.
Wow, that's strong.
Yeah.
I know that some folks are mentioning Ronnie Dyla, as long as he perhaps keeps his clothes on. But I think that Dyla
or not. I don't know. If he doesn't, that means that you've won something.
True. It's true. But would Ronnie want to come back from Europe, where he seems to be happier than he was when he had his time on this side of the pond?
Yeah, I think it's of those two. I would say that Dome would be more interested in coming back to the States. I think Ronnie is more comfortable where he is.
He's more comfortable disrobing overseas than he is disrobing here on this side.
It's more. I mean, it's they're looser with their.
They're looser with their apparel and their mores when it comes to wearing clothing and celebrating. I see.
Yeah, exactly.
Folks in the Twitch pitch, our Bart Keeler from the Soccer for US POD says, Dyla and Toronto too, he'd look at. Savaresi's a bit too pragmatic in quotation marks for him, but he thinks he'd set a higher floor than what Pineda could.
What is I haven't looked in a little bit. What's Patrick Vieira doing these days?
Patrick Vieira. So let's try and see if we can find Patrick Vieira for the if I could spell Vieira with fat fingers on a keyboard. Let's see. So yes, you found Patrick Vieira. Good for you. Let's see. Strasbourg. Well, I mean, Strasbourg in Ligue 2, I believe, would be where he currently is. Let's see if July 2nd, 2023. So he's coming up on the first year completed in a 3-year deal at Strasbourg. And so, what Strasbourg? Wait a second. Why does Strasbourg trigger what's Strasbourg's roster? See, so now that we're going down a rabbit hole on a Wall Pass Wednesday, I know that surprises no one. But yeah, so Strasbourg, RC Strasbourg, you look at them, Strasbourg Alsace. But so Ligue 1 right now, 13th out of 18, and is Strasbourg a distressed enough asset where Atlanta United has been fishing in. Yeah, and Strasbourg's Ligue 1, and so are you happy in Ligue 1? If you end up getting if you're happy being 13th in Ligue 1, and you're happy in Strasbourg in the Alsace Mountains, are you kind of happy there? You don't want to leave? I think that Patrick Vieira might be happier in Europe, much like Ronnie Dyla.
He's more, having dealt with Vieira for during his time here, he is more he enjoys traveling. I would say that. Okay. And the funny thing is, like, you look at his CV, as they say, and he's found himself some pretty nice homes, right? Like, I remember joking with him. It was a really cool kind of setting post season one of the years, and it was like a select few media. We went out. There was like a lunch somewhere in a French bistro in Manhattan, and I was sitting next to him, and I mentioned Newcastle, of course, right? I'm going to mention that, and he said, "Man, he's like, honestly, that's one of my favorite stadiums. Like, I loved playing there." And I feel like at the time they were either without a manager or close to without a manager. And I said, yeah, listen, you've been all around, what do you think about that? He goes, honestly, he's like, I love it there, but it's a little bit for my wife, like a little bit, it's like too much of a party city. She, it would be a situation, he said, like, where if he, he probably couldn't take it because of his wife, but he said if he did, like, she'd be in London and he'd have to take like the train, like to Newcastle.
He's commuting.
Yeah. She's more of the, we're living in Paris, we're living in New York City, we're living in London, we're living in Milan. So
yes. So,
but that said, Atlanta, having been there, is a beautiful city as well. So.
And the international confluence that is Atlanta when it comes to everything. When you look at the Eastern Conference right now, we were talking about it with Tyler Pilgrim from Scarves and Spikes before you came on. Basically, it's 3 groups right now into this international window, where not everybody is taking a break, by the way. You're given the option of playing through an international break. And 8 teams are doing that. We got 4 matches on Saturday that we actually have to talk about on Friday.
It's like it's a painstakingly, like, we actually have to talk about them.
Well, and it's like, okay, so we need rosters and scorecards and
figure out who's away, and yeah.
It's like, who's away and what are we doing and who am I talking about? What is my roster looking like? These kinds of things. I mean, it's
if you're a fantasy MLS player, I guess, or you're a juice box person. These are the
Yes.
groups that you despise.
Yes. Well, and considering, as a matter of fact, since you mentioned that, I actually tried to fill out my fantasy team for this week to try to get it over with early, not knowing, who's out or who's not out and all these kinds of things. I literally have 14 million left under my salary cap. Literally, the value of my team is at 141, and I literally have 13.9 million left over because of who I had to choose in this particular matchup. So
I really should be playing MLS fantasy, and I haven't. Like I don't know. Like I think I don't know why. Maybe it's I don't know. Like the start of the season, maybe I'm juggling so many different things.
You're kind of busy, man.
I know, but like I think I would like not to sound egotistical, but I think I maybe would do well. I don't know.
Well, you need to join our league. You just need to.
Oh yeah,
because we do have a league.
Is it League?
Yeah, it is League. It is League. Brother, it is the League. When it comes to this stuff. So I mean, it's solid.
Do the last place teams get relegated, or is that?
Well, we do have an open league, and then we also have the Campeón de Campeones league, where you do have, I think, 2 or 3 teams get relegated each year.
Oh, I love it.
So there is a separate element of staying in and trying to stay in. Literally, I'm like Crystal Palace in that league. It's like I'm there, and I'm like 14th out of 18th. It's like 16, 17, and 18. They get relegated, and I'm like right there at the bottom every single year.
Yeah, I got to do this next year.
You do. Yeah, you do. So we talk about the 3 groups in the Eastern Conference. Obviously, right now it's Messi and Friends and Cincinnati. I still don't think Messi and Friends win it. But where we are right now, we've got those 2 in that first group. Then that second group that is 3 through 7. NYCFC. What the heck? So I'm going to hit the pause button right here. What has Nick Cushing found in this group?
Again, I said it last week and they won again. So I'll say it again. They've just found consistency in playing together. What is great to see is that, they also have the return now of Maxi Morales, right? And back from an ACL injury that he suffered back in September. Great to see him back on the field. Just balled out in the later stages of that Friday night romping of San Jose.
It was San Jose, man. Come on.
No, for sure. But it was good to see him back on the field and right. Contributing, right? So that was the only point there. But yeah, I think they've granted, they've beaten San Jose and they've beaten New England.
Hey, they're on the schedule.
They are on the schedule, 100%. So, I think they're playing really well. Look, I said this before when the LA teams are both playing well, and we haven't had a lot of those, right? And the same is true with the New York area teams. Like, I think when they're both playing really well like this, it only feeds that rivalry, which makes it fun when those 2 teams play. So
then Red Bulls, is it as simplistic as saying that Emil Forsberg can really make that much of a difference for Red Bulls?
He can, and again, I still do think that they could, in the summer transfer window, if maybe they could find that a DP forward, right? Now you've got Forsberg, DP forward to be named later, and Lewis Morgan up there, right? Like with the defense that they have, they would, dare I say, for their long-suffering supporters, a cup contender then.
And they're one of the highest scoring offenses they're second in the Eastern Conference in goals scored. Do I have that right?
29 goals behind Miami's 42. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. I did not anticipate that. And so then 2 in front of them in the Western Conference, 3 in front of them in the West. So they're like, top 7 or 8 in Major League Soccer in offense this year. Then you've got that tail end of that second group at Charlotte, Toronto, and Columbus. Two of these things are not like the other, and did not anticipate Dean Smith in year one being, pragmatic. And when you've got Christian Kalina,
going all Gary Smith, right? Your boy.
Yeah, exactly. I've got a Dean Smith. This Dean Smith is making four corners an offense resurrection in Charlotte. He's really playing to his ACC audience. This particular Dean Smith is. And they ain't scoring a lot, but when you've got Christian Kalina, who's got 7 clean sheets, you don't need to. And Kalina has probably been some fantasy wonder this season for anybody that's picked him up. John Herdman, I had not anticipated this. The rah-rah sis boom ba, John Herdman got to work on a better haircut, kind of a thing, where it's like you fell asleep in the chair on one side and they just decided to continue giving him the haircut. Did not anticipate Toronto being in 6th right now after the halfway point of the season.
No, I agree with you there. But now you've got buy-in from the Italians, it would appear, right?
Because you got to have buy-in from the Italians.
Although that's a very good one for the Godfather.
Gotta remember that.
But you got to keep Bernadeschi on the field, right? So he's almost like Sonny, right? A little bit, like a little hot-headed, like like he needs to be more like Michael along those lines, more pragmatic and level-headed, as level-headed as those in those movies can come. But,
yes, and waiting for
he'll fly off the reservation and start kicking someone in the in the
nethers
in the streets with the fire hose there. So
he'll go out on Lakeshore and just on the Parkway and just to sit there. It's like I'm taking you from here to the Coliseum and back. Oh, what's the mug this morning and what's in it?
Oh, Blessed coffee.
Okay, Blessed, coffee. There we go. Columbus is doing what they're doing and did what they did while they were traipsing through the Triple C. All of the stuff that they did, literally, they are identical. 3-1-3 at home and away from the Death Star. And they are in 7th at 24 points. They've got 3 matches in hand with the folks, 2 or 3. And Messi and friends have already hit the halfway point of the season. But they've got matches in hand, and they can storm up the tower, too, now that CONCACAF is out of the way.
Yeah, and I would suspect that they would. This is the point where I think people not forget it, but I think this is the part of playing in CCC play that we're now the effects of it like post-mortem, right? Like you're in the middle of it and you've got to play in multiple competitions, so maybe your league results aren't what you wanted to be, but then it's what happens after that where we've seen a lot of teams struggle, right? Like mentally, physically, dealing with injuries. So I think this break right now, they're part of that, right? International break, I think will help them. They could hopefully hit the reset button and rebound, because I think they standings wise, they're not obviously at the top, right? As we mentioned, they're 7th, but they're right up there to me as the top 3 teams, however you want to put them in the East, right? Columbus, Miami, Cincinnati. So,
and then let me ask you this: if Kurt Onalfo was so focused on getting away from the baloney, the baloney still is there. It's still in his fridge, and the baloney went bad. And right now, I mean, seriously,
it takes a while too for baloney to go bad, I think.
Yeah, well, yeah, and
there's so much in there.
And it has not. You open the fridge in Foxborough, and the bologna is pretty bad. And I would have thought that Caleb Porter, once again, having to deal with Triple C, they got matches in hand too at the bottom of the table. But they're 3-10-1. They've only scored 11 goals this season. Why is Caleb Porter still employed?
I think that's an excellent question.
I mean, I could go Reverend Jim and go, I don't know, and we could do something like that, but I have no idea. Do they not want to pay him out this early and go and chase after somebody else? And in the interim, considering what happened to bring Caleb Porter into Foxborough in the first place, you might end up having Richie Williams as the interim for New England if Caleb Porter is let go.
And if that's the case, man, like never mind the Goonies, it's the interims who don't die, right? Like,
yeah,
you've got Klopas, who I think is in his like 16th.
He's
interim.
in his 16th tenure as an interim in
Rob
Chicago
Valentino,
alone.
Richie Williams,
but just
he was an interim at Red Bulls.
And the subtext of Richie Williams in general in Foxborough, having him cycle back to possibly be an interim after everything that went down last year that started the baloney being in the fridge in the first place. The irony is not lost on me there.
Here's who you need to bring in. Big Sam.
Oh.
Big Sam needs to come in.
You take him to Nashville?
He needs to go somewhere. Yeah, maybe.
If you're trying to think of anything for Sam, and it's all about points and survival, where he just kind of goes like he's just kind of sitting there and he's scratching where his tie is, and he's got the big wad of big league chew going, and he's just doing this. Pineda. I mean, Emilio's asking about Pineda in New England. I would say Pineda in Seattle, to be perfectly honest. And Nico Moreno will be joining us tomorrow to discuss this. But I think that Gonzalo ends up going back into the Seattle dynamic. And I think that he might be the coach in waiting for whenever Brian Schmetzer, in 38 years, when Schmetzer decides he's going to hang it up.
Like the Sir Alex guy after Sir Alex.
Yeah, I think that Gonzalo might end up being the guy after Sir Alex in Seattle, but that's just me. Familiar with the situation, knows the dynamic, knows the landscape. I think that he ends up being. I don't think it would be a pay cut. I think it would be. I think it would be just something where he knows the landscape and the lay of the land, and I think that he ends up being the guy that takes after Sir Alex up in Seattle when it's all done.
I think it's a good shout.
That's my gut anyway. Western Conference. I know we got a couple of minutes left here. Western Conference. You look at things and RSL. Chicho Arango. Hey, John Thorrington, Steve Cherundolo. Hello. Chicho, he's doing all right. Well, I've got one for you that might be close to the whole Bueller thing. Let me see if I can find it in short order and not blow the absolutely surprise of it here. Oh, where is it? Okay, here we go.
Penny.
Sheldon.
Penny.
Sheldon.
There.
There you go.
That's what you're staring at with that one. It's just RSL. You've got great scoring power up top. You've got some young talent that's there, and Zach McMath between the sticks, and RSL on top in the West.
Love it. I think I credit the guys at on Apple there, like Sasha and those guys. I think they've won me over thinking Supporter Shield, because I initially was like, and you were as well, we were both thinking just the East, right? Because the better teams are in the East.
Yeah.
But then you look at, so if the better teams in the East, that means that you beat each other up in the East.
Right.
If you go out West, and if the better teams in the East, that means the worst teams are in the West, and you're playing against more of the worst teams. So the teams that are in the top of the West should then, right, theoretically,
yes.
be higher up in the table. So
that is true.
Yeah, I mean, I think Salt Lake and LAFC are two contenders there for sure.
And Minnesota, I did not have Minnesota as a part of this discussion. I certainly did not, especially when your chief soccer officer was not on this continent until either training camp was ending or week one. And you bring in Eric Ramsey from Manchester United, who is 32. And he's younger than some of his players, and he believes in a team that is based in speed and transition and turnovers and those kinds of things. And so he's got a roster and turnover. He's got to deal with Bebe Reynoso, or Bebe Reynoso, however you want to say it. All of the Reynoso drama, older players that he's probably trying to transition out to bring in younger players starting next season. With all of this stuff going on, Eric Ramsey, I don't know if you can give him any kind of coach of the year consideration because of what he's done. But right now, Minnesota, and I did not have them here. I had them wooden spoon coming into the season. But you bring in a 32-year-old coach who, Diggs wearing the sweaters and the white T-shirts on the sidelines, and he's got them third. I did not have that. I did not.
He does, and who knew that? Who knew that with Reynoso out, Robin Lod would suddenly become one of the best 10s in the league?
Did not have that on the card.
It's crazy, right? That's not on the bingo card. And it's Tani time, which is a terrific catchphrase for social media. And maybe, maybe something for the people in Minnesota. They've got that beer garden, right, on the end line, right? Or no, it's sideline, I think, right? They've got the beer garden there in Allianz Field.
Yeah.
Maybe a play on Miller time. They can go Tani time and have like his own sort of craft beer.
And spray the craft beer when he scores.
There you go.
It's just a lot easier than saying Oluwasei. If you just say Tani time,
say Tani time.
Easier to spell. What's going on, my friend, with you?
By the way, a proud former Johnny like myself, St. John's University. He played on that rooftop field, is where he
played on the rooftop parking deck.
Honed his craft before heading out to Minnesota
on the Belson parking deck on the campus of St. John's University. What is going on with you being the busiest man in the Northeast?
I'm not as busy now. It's quieter time, which is nice. So it's lacrosse season is winding down. The broadcast season, like I said, I've got that one game coming up in 2 weeks, and then it's, I think, August 31st is the next one. For early season football. So yeah, it's kind of MLS right now, which is nice.
Okay.
So I have some extra dad time. I can grill in the backyard. I can mow the grass, which I did yesterday, which was
that just had to be thrilling.
Fun.
That just had to be thrilling. Absolutely. My friend, it's always great to catch up with you when you are not the busiest man in the Northeast and find out what the perspective is from you at MLSsoccer.com at Dylan_Butler. Go enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy dad time. And now that you've mowed the lawn, you don't have to mow the lawn today, at least on back-to-back days, I don't think.
Yeah, not today. Well, sometimes I go like, listen, I don't have a palatial estate.
Yeah, you do.
I've got a little bit of property. So I've got like a little more than a quarter acre. So like I do the back one day and the front the next day, but I won't have to do the front tomorrow. I'm actually heading to a family wedding in Annapolis this weekend. So
so then you're going to go get your Annapolis Blues NPSL gear and go sit in on the game if they've got one this weekend over at the stadium.
Perhaps. I did think, I was like, can I talk my wife into USA Columbia on the way back? But I've opted not to press that button of chance.
Okay.
just drive on through.
The athletic emotional capital. I completely understand that. There's a time when you can use that button, and that may not be the one that you want to sit there and burn it.
You don't like to press that button a lot.
No, just you have the opportunity to use it. You can use it. You save it for later when it's a really obscure one that you really want to take care of. And then she'll say, yeah, go ahead. I
did quick one for you. I did actually press said button. We were, God, it might have been 10, 15 years. I don't even know how many years ago it was. Marcus Hanneman was the goalie at Reading at the time.
Wow.
But we did a trip to England. Super fun. Like I got to go to Newcastle. We went to a few different matches. We did matches from different levels, right? We went to Liverpool, did the whole Beatles thing. Obviously we were around London. We were in Manchester. We went everywhere. So the US were playing Scotland on the last Saturday. We were flying out Sunday, I think. So Saturday they were in Scotland. I'm like, we're not that far. She's like, no. Like I'm spending our last night in England, in London. We're having dinner. Like it's you and I. All right. You're right. So did not see USA Scotland on that day.
That's tremendous. Well, continue to drink out of the mug this morning. Continue to be blessed, sir, and we will catch up with you again next week as we roll through everything in MLS soccer, and we will have more matches to talk about than just the 4 this weekend. Be safe, my friend.
Yeah. Cheers.
All right, there goes Dylan. Dylan's going to enjoy his coffee. Final half hour of the show, and it is whatever's on your mind when it comes to Major League Soccer, anything else on your mind. And I still have to say hello to everybody. That's how far behind I am. Is I didn't get the chance to say hi. I didn't get to do my New Zoo review viewing of everybody that's there. Morning, Alex. Morning, Kessie. Calamari to you and all. Morning, Emilio. Yeah, Jarrett did the Irish hello and the Irish goodbye. Literally, what I do in the mornings is I will send out the invite for everybody, and not knowing when Jared or Maddie or Nick or whomever they show up. Dylan's always the beginning of hour number 2. Unless there's something going on, and being the busiest man in the Northeast, he's like, I got to go early. I got to go later. I'll be there. I'll be there when I be there, or I'm really busy, and I'll see you next week. Jarrett, Maddie, and Nick, I have no idea. Any of the other golden ticket holders, I have no idea. Literally, it's just like, boom. I could get a text. I want to drop in. Okay, fine. Here's the link, and you go. But yeah, Jarrett just popped in at like 9:04. He got in the green room, and he was ready to go. And so that was why Jarrett was in early. Morning, Ricky. Yeah, Ricky's watching the TST. And yes, an African and CONCACAF World Cup qualifiers are all over the place. We'll get into what to watch, where to watch it, and how to watch it coming up in just a little bit. Morning, Abby. And yes, it was a great win. Lily Johannes scoring for the WNT last night at the age of 16. Great response by her teammates. We'll go over those numbers in just a little bit, too. Got the chance to talk about the press game. Yes, Crystal Dunn, effective forward. Yes, Crystal Dunn can do the soccering. And yes, Hungarian Youth League is a future picks of the week pick, no doubt. Tommy ATL is in. Morning, Tommy, as he was watching Tyler go through his cases, and we pinned Tyler up against the wall and force him to have an opinion on things. Morning, Hutch. Morning, Michael. And Michael, to your point, the contracts are paid out not to be crass. They'll all find other jobs and be fine. Yeah, that I wasn't necessarily focusing on that. I was more focusing on the idea of just being a nice human in this situation, because there were folks on social media yesterday and 2 days ago that basically felt compelled on the 280 character app and other places to sit there and basically celebrate the fact that someone lost their job. That's what I was getting into more than anything. And that's why on Tuesday's show, I said that I reserve the right to have the Roy Kent PSA available should the situation arise. And the Roy Kent PSA is not bleat, and it would earn us an explicit rating without question. But it was more for just looking at them as human beings, not as employer kind of things. Emilio, wasn't the Olympics going on 4-2-2 when Rob was here last time? I'm thinking it might have been the Olympics in Tokyo, because it was, Rob, let's see, when was Rob? Was August of, so Rob was 8 matches in the 2021 season. So I think he was the summer of 21, which would have been the Olympics. I think the Olympics were going on, if my math is correct. Let's see. Morning, Abby. June 5th. Why is June 5th special? Am I missing anything? Let's see. Emilio, looking for a Stian update. Don't have one yet. Don't have anything updating on Stian and the hamstring-ish injury. I'm guessing it's a hamstring. That's what it looked like, but nothing. So you probably get, with an international break, you're probably getting a couple days off. To Kefsi's point, probably getting a couple days off and then getting assessed. Morning, Bart. Emilio, do you think that if we were to get the 2 DPs before the new manager, it may indicate a lesser-known manager is going to be hired? Not necessarily lesser-known, but a manager that is okay with the talent assembled and did not want, or, is cool with what you've got. And is like, yeah, I can work with this. And I think that that's kind of what you're looking at. That if it is a situation with a manager Managers like, yeah, I like this assembly of talent. I think we can work with. I can work. Me and my staff can work with what you've got. So it may not necessarily be a lesser known manager, but it is a manager that is okay with the talent assembled. Michael still contends potential signees won't come here due to turf. Yeah, I mean it is a question. I don't know if there's any empirical evidence to support the argument across the board in Major League Soccer. But if folks were to sit there and look at artificial surfaces and things like that. But remember, grass is going to be installed for the Copa, and you're going to have moments over the next handful of years where you're going to be seeing grass in the building. So we'll see how the building responds, and the building's got to take care of the grass too, and see how if grass is installed in other places like Jerry World and things like that, how it's responded. Is it going to make it more attractive in other markets if other markets are transferring from turf to grass for events and things like B of A, things like that. We got news on B of A coming up too. Let's see. Yeah, and there was a Caleb to PSV rumor. Yes, KFC there was. So we'll see. Well, like I said, if Caleb balls out, and this was Jarrett's point, if Caleb balls out in the Olympics, then that's somebody else that you've got to look at. And so you might end up, 3 questions or 2.5 questions, and if not 3 at the end of the year. Bart asking reasonably, what place should this squad finish in the league? I think they should finish right now. I think they should finish at least in the playoff picture. I think that at the very least should be with where things are. They should be in the playoff discussion. Like I said, you've got a lot of folks to hopscotch. I get that. You've got matches in hand. You've got 3 matches in hand on Nashville and DC. Or sorry, no, I'm looking at points. My bad. Wrong column. You've got a match in hand on DC. Everybody else has played 16. So you're going to be fighting with everybody. So right now, if there's drop off, you're looking at the 8-9. If you take things as they are, because Atlanta's 8 points out of 7. 8 points. So that 8-9 play-in game is realistically what you're looking at, unless you really catch fire. So getting into the playoffs, that's what you're hunting for. And then going from there. Let's see. What else is on folks' minds? I'm trying to see if there's anybody else that I have missed. Let's see. Michael, Tommy, KFC, Emilio, and Bart asking an important question. Why can't Atlanta be Handsome Men FC? Has Atlanta not been Handsome Men FC in the past? I think that there were some opportunities to have at least the beginning of a starting 11 that could have been Handsome Men FC, or at least in the Eastern Conference Handsome Men FC. And Michael, yes, very curious. Miami and the LA teams can sign whomever they wish, and we cannot sign anyone. Well, and once again, and this is what I wanted to get into with Marco Royce. So, Michael, thank you for going here. The discussion yesterday involving Marco Royce, and it appears, this is sourcing that is like tier 2, that Charlotte could sign Marco Royce to a deal, basically $4 million a year, and give him DP status. LAG could not give him DP status. They can only sign him to a deal at 1.7, but what they could do is give him sponsorship deals and things like that could make up the balance. And we have said here on this show, you and the Twitch pitch and me here, that with Messi's deal being what it is, that opened the door to basically NIL. NIL in Major League Soccer, that's what it opened the door to. Sponsorship deals, etc., to where you only have to pay Messi $16 million or $20 million or whatever the numbers are. And the rest can come from Apple and subscribers and pieces of the action and all that kind of stuff. So just to give you the info, salaries we'll take the 2 teams. We'll take LAFC and we'll take Messi and Friends. Jordi Alba's base, $1.25 million, guaranteed compensation, $1.5 million. Then Tomas Aviles, $384,000, so $385,000. Then you end up with Busquets, who had a large boost in salary from year to year. Busquets just under $8.5 million base, just over $8.75 guaranteed compensation. Literally, it's $8,499,996. I don't know why it's $4 under $8.5 million for base. I have no idea. This is from our friends at MLS Players. This is from the MLSPA. 8.774996. I don't know why it's $4 under a round figure. That's just weird. So Kromoski got an increase. Facundo Farias, $650 to $675. Nicola Frere. Frere is an example of base and guaranteed compensation. Nicola Frere, before he got injured and is no longer a part of the activity this season with Inter Miami, base salary of $400,000, guaranteed comp $1 million. So there were performance metrics or something in there to get it from 400 to $1 million. Let's see. Messi, 12 in base, guaranteed compensation under 20 million. 20,446,667. So it's basically a 3-year deal of whatever 446 2/3 is times 2, so times 3. So 60 something million, 61.5, somewhere in there. So Messi, base of 12, guaranteed compensation $20,446,667, courtesy of MLS Players. And I'm trying to see if there's anybody else who's weird. Luis Suarez, $1.5 million base. That's guaranteed comp. I'm guessing that year 2 of his deal would be a lot bigger. So let's go to LAFC's numbers and find out what's going on there. Ilie, $1,267,875. I'm guessing that's a 2-year deal with a round number. Aaron Long goes from $1,259,760 to $1,303,044. Like I said, a lot of these numbers are just odd. Denny Bouanga, $2,920,000 base, guaranteed compensation $3,609,500, and those are the odd ones for LAFC. You look at LAFC's numbers. Chiellini off the books, Bale off the books, what have you. You only have literally 3 players with LAFC that have 7 figures in salary, in base. But you look at the numbers, and the guaranteed compensation package is a lot more. Tomas Angel basically gets another 50% of his base salary to match guaranteed compensation. Goes from $250 to $368. We mentioned Denny Bouanga from $2.9 to $3.6. Base salaries like Darbo, who's got the rookie min, guaranteed compensation another $12,000. So it's another 12 over 70, so 15%. Francisco Janela, another $20,000 in guaranteed compensation. Lloris is on a salary of $350, and that's his guaranteed compensation. I'm thinking year 2 of the deal's got to be a little different. Aaron Long, we mentioned his $44,000 movement to guaranteed compensation. Jesus Murillo gets another $60,000 in guaranteed compensation. So he gets more than a 10% bump in guaranteed money. Ordaz gets another $3,000. Sergi Palencia is the big mover here. He basically gets another 2/3. He goes from $350 to $557 from base to guaranteed. Romero, rookie min. Timothy Tillman from $600 to $637, so he gets another 5%. So there are some numbers, not as wide-ranging as it was with Messi and friends, but there are some folks that have a base salary and guaranteed compensation that are like Timothy Tillman that is off the board. That's like 2/3 of what you make in base salary. How that works under the cap, I don't know. I'd love to know how this works under the cap, but I don't know. I would love to have these ideas and know what's going on, but we aren't all of that informed, sadly, on what would be the numbers to increase? Oh, and Emilio, yeah, you're right. To be an assistant, but you also know the style of life and living back there. Pineda as an assistant, I don't think he would go into the mess that's New England. I think he would go back to Seattle. Then back and forth opinions, and that could very well be, Hutch, that maybe they negotiated in a different currency. But I would think that you would want it in U.S. dollars as opposed to a different set of currency, like home currency or something like that, or you pushed it into bonds or something like that, But you see how Messi and friends are very imaginative in all of this. Back to my original point about Marco Reus. Marco Reus was the word is out. Like I said, this is probably BB plus sourcing, not A-list sourcing. That it would be in sponsorships and all these other things that would make up the difference for 1.7 to 4 million. So his salary would be 1.7, but he would match the 4 million that Charlotte's offering in salary if he would go to LAG. And it appears that LAG and Charlotte have agreed on the $350,000 DIBS fee. And that is where things are right now with Marco Reus. Mention what's going on. Speaking of Charlotte, Tepper Enterprises, etc., is, and I know this will shock you, Tepper Enterprises is asking for some help financially, and they're looking for the renderings have been released for the B of A's $800 million makeover. Renovation plan was released, and the $800 million renovation plan assures that the Panthers and assumably Charlotte FC would be in that building for the next 20 years. $800 million of the overhaul. Tepper Sports and Entertainment is asking for $650 million in taxpayer money. It would come from the city's hospitality and tourism tax, which legally must be used on projects, according to Axios, that generate tourism dollars. Tepper would invest $150 million. $150 million from Tepper Sports and Entertainment. What's 15 over 80? 16.7%. The deal includes a 20-year non-relocation agreement between the city and TSC. The team plans to invest an additional $421 over the life of the deal. So basically, if you pay 83% of the deal, City of Charlotte, through this tax, we will invest an average $20 million a year over the remainder of the deal to stay in for another 20 years. But we'll put $150 up front. You put $650 up front, make it back through the taxes that are paid when folks stay downtown and are within walking distance of B of A, which I've done before. And that will end up giving you the revenue over 20 years to pay for the $800 million renovation. Stadium upgrades call for new seating in the bowl, a south lawn pavilion, upgraded video and audio system, scoreboard, video board, exterior stadium improvements, upgraded bathrooms, thank God. Improved accessibility and redesigned concourses, safety, security upgrades like better lighting, modernized infrastructure, including plumbing, electrical, and HVAC. Axios Charlotte says Tepper, whose net worth, according to Forbes, is $20.6 billion, bought the Panthers for $2.275 billion in 2018. Paid the $325 million expansion fee to bring MLS to Charlotte, funded $50 million in stadium renovations ahead of the inaugural season in 2022. According to Charlotte City Council member Malcolm Graham, we have to modernize the facility to meet its current needs. Panthers are also redeveloping the team's practice facility next to the stadium, expected to vote on that on the 17th. Team announced that December it would move the training camp to Uptown rather than at Wofford, where it had been since 1995. And remember the whole Rock Hill experiment, which basically stopped building. 2022, Tepper opted not to move forward with plans for Charlotte to have a presence at Eastland Yards, establishing the HQ elsewhere in East Charlotte in order to get the team settled into the permanent home. Remember, after they stopped in Rock Hill with the build, that ended up going to court. Panthers haven't had a winning season under TSC or made the playoffs. Vote from the Charlotte City Council expected on June 24. Construction wouldn't begin in 25. Would begin in 25, intended to be completed by 29. Neither the Panthers nor Charlotte FC would have to relocate during construction. According to Axios, taxpayer-funded stadia plans spark passionate debates. Really? Especially for struggling teams. In 2013, Jerry Richardson asked for and ultimately got $87.5 million in funding from the city for upgrades to B of A at the time. And remember, Nashville's Metro Council spent more than a year considering the new domed stadium for the Titans back in 22 and 23. $2.1 billion price tag there. Council members in Nashville approved using $760 million in local taxpayer funds coming from the 1% hotel tax and sales tax collected in a new surrounding development that you see there when there's like racing and when you're there and spending time on that side of the river and not walking across it to the Broadway. State of Tennessee kicked in $500 million in bonds. The Titans are on the hook for $840. Charlotte's also renovating Spectrum Center, which is also downtown. $275 million committed to arena upgrades and a standalone practice facility for the Hornets. And so Charlotte is in the process of spending a boatload of money, allegedly, possibly, probably, on two teams that have not made the playoffs in a very long time. Yeah, this would be the interesting question. Oh, Mazel Tov, Abby. Happy birthday. She said June 5th is a special day because it's gone around the sun, entering the final year of the decade. So she's a Niner. She's 39. And Michael, this is another interesting question. Let's find out. Michael wants to know dibs on Kylian Mbappe. Kylian Mbappe. Let's see if we can spell Mbappe. Discovery rights. MLS. Let's see who's got the discovery rights on Kylian Mbappe. Marco Roche Discovery. Back in 2019, he dropped a hint about going to Major League Soccer. So Kylian Mbappe to the U.S. Goal actually went through this idea. Thank you for verifying who I am. I'm not really wanting to pay attention to who I am right now. I just want to read the stinking article. Back in 23, it looked like Messi and friends were trying to court him, and that did not really go successfully. 2024 sold the summer for a free. So goal.com does not know who has Kylian Mbappe's discovery rights. Dream come true. Blah, blah, blah. MLS Daily Record. PSG formally placed him on the market. So I don't know. Maybe that's something that's, once again, kind of like salary caps. The dibs fees and the dibs rights, we don't know that either. Once again, you'd like to know who's got dibs on players like this. But to the point, Michael's got a great question. Who's got dibs on Kylian Mbappe? And he's also surprised that Charlotte isn't going dome. Well, and Derek says the city of Charlotte says no, CFC's forced to relocate to Winnipeg. Yeah, and I think it is super secret, Michael, the dibs list. But Derek, I think, well, remember last time that a team in Charlotte went to the city and it's like, we need a boatload of money to fix our arena. That was when the first round of the Hornets went to New Orleans because they weren't getting anything out of Charlotte in the old Charlotte Coliseum. Now the Spectrum Center is getting the upgrades, $27.5 million or $275 million. I didn't see a decimal point. So let's say $275 million in upgrades to the Spectrum Center. So you're upgrading two facilities to keep these properties in. You won't lose them like you did last time. But it will be interesting on the 17th and the 24th to see what the discussions are involving Charlotte and all this money. And Tepper saying, well, you know what? I'll give, 150 of the 800. We cool? Great. With all the stuff that the city has gone through, everything that Rock Hill, South Carolina has gone through, all of the moving, all the ideas. Yeah, we'll do it here. We'll build a facility here. No, we won't. And then we'll go to court, and then we're back, and now we're not. So the 17th and the 24th, those of you keeping an eye on what's going on in Charlotte, and keep an eye on all of that. and you'll find out what's going on with the next round of everything going on in Charlotte. Okay. Let's see. Oh, that's right. Before we go, gossip, rumor, and innuendo, and things left unsaid. And there's a lot of stuff going on overseas this morning, but obviously the highlights are that Spurs released some players, including Eric Dyer, as a part of their end-of-season contract discussions. Then, let's see, who else was it with Eric Dyer? There's news. Antonio Conte signed his contract, so he is there. It looks like it's Tanganga, Sessegnon, Dyer, and Perisic. They've been released from the first-team squad at Spurs. You've also got Antonio Conte named at Napoli, and he signed that paperwork this morning aiming to rebuild Aurelio De Laurentiis. That is going to be an interesting relationship. €8 million or $8.7 million a season. Conte, quote, I can promise you one thing. I will do my utmost to grow this team and this club. 5th Napoli coach of the last year. Coach who won the title, Spalletti, left last summer, went through 3 managers, finished 10th. Rudy Garcia, Walter Mazzarri, Francesco Calzona. Short term. Conte's going to have to do it without Victor Osimhen, big target. Kvaratskhelia will be there, and he's there until 27. So Antonio Conte has signed his deal, and that is going to be another interesting situation involving things in Serie A. Manchester United, according to Ben Jacobs, confirmed discussions remain open with Johnny Evans and Tom Heaton over potential new contracts. So it's been a busy morning for Ben Jacobs. Lille confirmed Paulo Fonseca has left the club ahead of the expected move to Milan. And initial 2-year deal has been agreed with, the move now set to be finalized. Bournemouth confirmed Lloyd Kelly has left the club. Indicated 3 weeks ago he was open to Newcastle. Simpler than Tosin Adarabioyo, which was never a certainty. Manchester City chairman Khaldoun Al-Mubarak on the 115 charges. Quote, the referencing is always frustrating. I feel for our fan base and everyone associated with the club to have these charges constantly referenced. It's taking longer than anyone hoped for, but there is a process we have to go through. I've always repeated, let's be judged by the facts and not by claims and counterclaims. But you'll take the Premier League to court. Chelsea expect more than £50 million for Conor Gallagher, pointing to the package received from Mason Mount 12 months ago. Villa and Spurs both expected to bid. Atletico Madrid, according to Jacobs, someone to watch. And so, yes, 5 hours ago, Antonio Conte signed the deal. West Ham confirmed Aaron Cresswell signed a 1-year extension with the club, complete with quotes. Liverpool confirmed Joel Matip and Thiago Alcantara will leave the club, having already announced their departures before last season ended. Contract offers have been made to Adrian, along with academy keepers Jacob Poitras and Reece Truman. Fulham confirmed that Chelsea-bound Adarabioyo is going to leave on a free. Bournemouth also confirmed a 21-year-old keeper has joined from Wellington Phoenix in the A-League. Villa confirmed preliminary talks over Conor Gallagher. All right, now, what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it. And once again, Fanati's, fntz.co/soccer down here, gets you to be the true degenerate of everything that goes on. All the BNs, Nuestra Tele, Teise, For the Fans, CDO, Gold TV, all of it. You can get it in one place. fntz.co/soccer down here. Helps them out, helps us out, helps you out to become a true degenerate. Liga 1 Max and 1 Max Pro. Today, DAZN USA, very, very light. DAZN USA Women's Champions League, Lyon and Benfica at 1:45, Chelsea and Ajax at 4. One match in the Copa de la Liga on Paramount Plus. It is Lanús and Union Santa Fe. That one is at 8:30. Back-to-back wins last night for the WNT. Challenging conditions at Allianz. It looked great to start, and then it didn't. It almost turned into like 40 cubits of wood kind of a deal. 3-0 win over South Korea and St. Paul. Crystal Dunn, Sophia Smith, and Lily Johanna scored goals in the win. 9 changes to the starting lineup for her second game in charge after the 4-0 win in Saturday's friendly. Hayes started Dunn as a right winger. First time that she'd played an advanced role for the U.S. team since 2017. And I know that Bart will be talking about that in an upcoming edition of the Soccer for US POD. threatening after 62 minutes after a wave of substitutions. Smith, Rodman, Swanson, Coffey for Morgan, Neiswanger, Lavelle, and Lindsey Horan. Rose Lavelle got her 100th cap, by the way. And so it was cool to see that presentation yesterday with, in the rain, Rose Lavelle getting her 100 jersey. And the player rankings, by the way, in the 3-0 win, once again, courtesy of our friends at Soccer America. Casey Murphy gets a 7 for a clean sheet, 4-4-2 setup, ball advanced, emerged into a 3-4-3. Neiswanger a 6, 5s for Stab, Sonnet, and Kruger. In the midfield, Corbin Albert got a 5, Rose Lavelle got a 5, Lindsey Horan got a 4. Forwards up top, Crystal Dunn gets a 6, Alex Morgan a 3, and Jaden Shaw a 4. Subs, Sophia Smith got a 7, Lily Johannes got a 7, Rodman and Swanson got 6s, Coffey and Fox got 5s. 16 years, 358 days old, third youngest goal scorer in women's national team history after Christine Lilly and Tiffany Roberts. Next up for U.S.-Mexico in New Jersey on July 13th for the first of 2 Olympic send-off matches. Crowd of 19,169. Very, very cool, especially in those conditions for having folks show up. Also yesterday, I don't know if you saw it. I don't know if you saw this last night, but the Canada-Mexico women's friendly at BMO in Toronto. It was on one of the FSs, and it was the One Soccer broadcast, so obviously it was a Canadian-based broadcast team. There was a play late in the match where one of the players for ATLUTD decided to basically body check a Team Canada player into the bench. And I mean, it was like 5, 6, 7 minutes left. Literally, she body checked her off of the field of play and onto the rubber mats that were in front of the benches there on the near side as you're looking from the broadcast side. Literally checks her into the bench and only got a yellow card. And I mean, it was a pretty nasty check. But in a friendly, to have that kind of physical activity, not anticipated, a bit of a surprise, and the player for Canada was down for quite some time, and Canada was playing with 10v11 in an eventual 1-1 draw. But to see that kind of physical activity last night was incredibly, it was interesting to say the very least, but it was interesting for the wrong reason. You know, ATLUTD decided that, we'll be physical at the end of a match and just body check one of the Canadian players into the boards. I mean, the Ricoh Coliseum is just across the street and down Lakeshore a little bit, but it was more an AHL or an NHL move than it was a move in a women's friendly. So, sometimes you sit there and you're looking at friendlies and you're going, really? You really want to do that? And they did that last night, at least ATLUTD did. Gossip, rumor, and innuendo. What we have looks like Mikel Arteta is looking at Girona winger Viktor Sigankov, who's also wanted by AC Milan. Chelsea confident they can rival Arsenal in the race to sign Benjamin Sesko from RB Leipzig. Julian Alvarez is a target for Atletico Madrid. And apparently Alvarez went to Pep Guardiola and said, I'd like to go play in international competitions because you're not giving me enough playing time. I don't know how well that went over. United interested in signing Jared Branthwaite. Juve and Brazil defender Gleison Bremer, and Nice and France defender Jean-Claire Todibo are also targets for United. West Ham trying to derail Leverkusen's attempt to sign Girona midfielder Alex Garcia. They also want to sign Victor Guimaraes and Jota Silva, meaning West Ham. Spurs open to Jed Spence joining Genoa permanently after the defender's successful loan spell with the club. That's from Fabrizio Romano. We've already talked about Adarabioyo. He's undergone a medical ahead of a move to Chelsea, 4-letter paper. Manchester United set talks for Jadon Sancho before deciding on his future. He helped Dortmund reach the Champions League final after joining him on loan after a fallout with Erik ten Hag. Birmingham City have held talks with Frank Lampard about becoming their new manager. Lampard has also spoken to Burnley about their vacancy. And we talked about Alan Pardew yesterday. Good Lord. Manchester United boss Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wanted by Besiktas. He hasn't managed since November of 21. Roma's Paulo Dybala open to a Premier League move. Real Madrid's Champions League winning captain Nacho will meet with the club to discuss his future. Defender's contract expires this summer. Fulham's Tim Ream is in talks with Charlotte FC about a move to MLS. It will be interesting if Ream comes over. How will he adjust to the speed? Will he be okay? It's an interesting play. Ream's a lot better than Christian Fuchs was. Leverkusen attacking midfielder Florian Wirtz has dismissed speculation about his future, said he's concentrating playing at the Euro with hosts Germany, and that's from Florian Plettenberg at Fox Sport, at Sky Sports Germany. So once again, TST, I know a lot of you are looking at that. I think it's TST7v7.com. You can watch all of that. I don't know how you would be about this, but J.J. Watt's Burnley side's playing. How would you feel about J.J. Watt coming down upon you if you're a keeper in a 7v7 tournament? Just asking. Let's see if there's anything else that I have missed before we go. Mentioned Lloyd Kelly. Mentioned Khaldun Al-Mubarak. Brianna Stewart. Grant Wall's anthology is out, by the way. So keep an eye on that, and probably it might be requested pickup and reading and such. Reminder, Scarves and Spikes, 30 subscribers away from 1,000. Jason's going to be on their show tonight, and it'll be interesting to hear what Jason says about everything going on in the Atlanta United universe. And tomorrow it is Nico Moreno joining us at 10:30. As he always does, we'll get his thoughts on Gonzalo Pineda. Does he return to Seattle? We'll see what Nico's thoughts are on Gonzo and what's going on all across Major League Soccer. Friday, we are going to get both ends of the Decatur FC and Georgia Impact matchup in the WPSL. If you're anywhere near Decatur High School on Friday night, go watch it. Two of the big guns early in the season in the WPSL here in this part of the country. They're going to be playing Impact, Decatur FC, and that is going to be Friday night, 7:30. We'll have both head coaches on in the first half hour of the show on Friday, and we'll get you ready for the weekend with everything else that's going on. And we will have a bit of a truncated weekend whip around patent pending trademark coming, because there's 4 matches we got to talk about. Believe it or not, as Michael says, Michael's not a fan of teams opting to play through international windows. So we'll have all that to talk about starting tomorrow. Once again, Nico Moreno joining us at 10:30 to go through everything, and we will get his perspectives on all of it. Thanks for coming by. Thanks to Dylan Butler for starting us in hour number 2. Thanks to Jarrett for dropping by. Thanks to Tyler for dropping by. Once again, subscribe to Scarves in Spikes, Scarves and to Spikes on YouTube, Scarves in Spikes on the 280-character app. And watch Jason tonight over at Scarves and Spikes on their normal Wednesday night show. So for everybody here at SDH, once again, thanks for hanging out, as you always do here on a Wall Pass Wednesday, where anything is on the table. Morning Minds, yo back. But we'll be back at it again in a little less than 22 hours, and we'll take you through the world of soccer here on Soccer's Morning Show. So for Jarrett, for Nick, for Jason, I'm just John, and for Maddie, play it safe, everybody. Be safe today, and we'll be back at it again tomorrow morning, 9:05, for another round of soccer down here. Thursday Thoughts, bring them to the table, and we will see you then. That is an absolute promise. Play it safe, everybody. Moochie plot to y'all. Unless, of course, you hit the open instead of the close. Let's try it again. How'd that work? I think it did.